I'm working on a blown multi-point mechanism today. I replaced the main mechanism case, but the Rocky Mountain trim sets are also blown apart. One or the other probably contributed to the demise of both. But I have two of these units. I've already rebuilt this one. And we're going to replace these spring carriage assemblies. You know, the first one, you know, the carriage housing just cracked and, you know, blew apart. And on the second one, the tang that drops down and grabs the legs of the spring is just sheared off and lost. So we've got no spring action there. These are held on by a push nut, also known as a wagon wheel washer. And what I'm going to do is use a motor tool. I've saved an exceptionally small cutter just to try to keep from grazing the trim. And I'm going to go in here in one of these two open air areas, you know, where the shank of the lever itself is, and Ziz will cut, you know, that spring metal, and essentially cut and snap these so that they'll pry off easier. If we pry them off without cutting, you know, you tend to distort the metal, you know, of the shank. Feels like I penetrated that. I'm just going to use some kind of, you know, tool and get under this if I can. It might still be together. Let's hit some more. Let's see if we can't get under that. Raise that up off of there. There we go. Got another whole unit there. Just try and get me some air to get in here on the spring itself. Now these are doubled up. They put on two to help hold it down. So there's one of them. Heads up, 7 up. The second one's off. Then we can just take the spring unit out of here. It's under tension, but it's not so much. On non-multi-points, there will be like a stop cam that drops in here and, you know, banks against one side or the other, so the lever will only cycle in one direction. But with this being a multi-point, it needs to cycle up as well as down. I'm going to just clean and lube up these bearing surfaces here. So we've got one nylon washer on this side. Just gonna hose this out with some Teflon, as long as it's apart, and oil rub bronze. We have another washer on this surface. And I'm just hose blasting it once to get the crud. Another time to put some lube on there. It's important probably to have your lever oriented in the proper direction at this time. Then the new spring carriage unit needs to go down there. In the end, I'm going to use this 5/8 socket to drive these wagon wheel washers, or push nuts, whatever you want to call them. These here. You know, that'll seat right over these little gripper legs and shove that down. And I like to position one of the splits in this open airspace where these two notches are. First, get the spring unit on. And if this has any trouble going down, the first one gave me some trouble, this one started, but you can use the socket here too. Kind of just seat that down. You know, getting the legs of the spring on both sides. And now we need to go on with the wagon wheel washer push nut program. I'm going to put the split in the open airspace here. And the only reason I do that on these kinds of things, and I do the same with like true arc rings, is the part where the split is isn't really grabbing anything, so you might as well put it where the air is. So there's that situated. I'm going to drive it down. Not too hard. If you drive it too hard, it will bind up the pack, and you end up needing to relieve it. And you can relieve it by, you know, holding the trim up in the air, smacking the back of those lever shafts some, and trying to undo what you've done. I felt it move. I felt it drop a little. I don't have any in and out play, so I think we're good. I got great action. All right, this push nut is situated. Drop down on there. All right, see I got that split right in that airspace. Put a second unit on. And I orient them the same way as each other. I don't know if Rocky Mountain shoves them down at the same time or not, but I'm going to kind of line up my splits with each other. Drive on the second unit. Still needs to go. There we go. Felt it drop. Got good function. See, now we're getting the bind because I've drove it too far. So hold this up in the air, try and knock it back until it cycles. That's pretty much it. This is the Rocky Mountain multi-point trim set, and they're all pretty much the same, revolving around the same spring pack assembly. Rock on, people.